Hi, campers. I just recently got back from the coin shop, my local coin shop. Since I had my paycheck, I had a little extra money, and I purchased 800 of uh, these basically just coins. These are just quarters from pre-64, and doesn't look like much, does it? But that's $800. Now, for the time being, before our country gets all fascist, I'm going to throw them in the safe deposit box, but eventually I might have to find a safer place for them. But for the time being, um, that's the safest place I can think of for them. But anyway, back to this. Whenever I purchase silver, I always get the receipt, and then I just sort of rubber band it to whatever I bought. And the reason why is because the time may come. Here, let me put this on my little mount here. The time may come when I will want to put the money back into the system, right? Um, do things like cash it in and put it in like my checking account, and then purchase real estate or something with it. Because eventually I do plan to buy a few acres of rural real estate, maybe with a structure on it, maybe not. I mean, if it's a structure, of course there's risk of vandalism, um, but if there's not, it's not as livable. So it's sort of a give and take. But anyway, the time may come that I might want to put it back in the system. So if I take the receipt and like rubber band them to the individual things, then I'll know exactly how much I paid for them, and then I can determine what the income is. Then I would of course have to claim that income on my income tax. Now, the greatest advantage of precious metals is their anonymity. Um, so basically, if for example somebody sued me or something, and then they managed to take me for everything I owned, there would be no way for them to really know that I have precious metals or even how much, because the records of the precious metals that I keep in my financial uh, folders in the computer, they're all encrypted with this tremendously, ridiculously powerful encryption with a password about 9 miles long. Then another password, what do they call it? The I can't remember what they call it, but it's a shorter password that I would be able to like hand over if I was like under duress. Yes, a duress password. Then they would open up the duress folder and they would find a bunch of stuff that's innocuous or whatever. But my actual financial records, including all my receipts and everything, that is all highly encrypted. Um, I think I might be a little paranoid, but you can't be too careful. But the time may come when I might need to put this back into the system, in which case I would then have the information to do it. And plus, if if the system tried to turn me upside down and shake me down for any change or lunch money, they wouldn't necessarily find this stuff, right? Well, anyway, on that note, when I was at the coin shop today, a newbie uh, went in there with a couple of cashier's checks for $14,000, and he purchased $14,000 on gold. And then he seemed to be a little surprised and uncomfortable when they started taking all of his personal information and phone number and names, uh, and they even took his social security number. And I could just see him cringing internally, and he had known that he had made a mistake, but he had already handed him the cashier's checks. And I just turned to the guy and said, "Oh, dude, that's why I always go for small denominations." And that's all I said. And then I got out of there, and he looked very uncomfortable, and it was painful to for me to watch him. But I'll tell you one thing, he has learned his lesson. So that 14,000 is on the record and reported to the IRS and in triplicate to every bureau of the government. And now he is on the list of people who own precious metals. Personally, I would not even buy online in all these online gold, silver retailers. I would not even do that. I wouldn't even purchase precious metals that way, because the moment the country gets all fascist, then the stormtroopers will go in and they'll say, "Oh, here's all the records," and oh. But the thing is, when I walked in there, under the name it says cash. Now, granted, I've made some YouTube videos, and I'm sure I could be tracked down and all that good stuff, but I'm not on any obvious database, at least. And I am certainly not going to make it easy for them by attaching my Facebook to my YouTube account. No! How stupid would you have to be to do something like that? I mean, unless you were absolutely not in any concern about your name or anything getting out. But anyway, I would not do that. So I just felt sorry for the guy, and it was uncomfortable to watch, but he has learned his lesson. So that's going in the safe deposit box, and with all the other stuff. And then I will, eventually, I'm going to purchase some real estate with that. Possibly with that, possibly with some other stuff too. So, that's the plan. Nice talking to you.